everyone. I'm Insha Noreen from CNS Media, journalist at Food Ingredient First. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Elisabeth Hirschbichler, Senior Vice President, Taste, Texture and Health at dsm-firmenich. She's here to share her insights on the latest trend in the healthy food ingredient space. Welcome, Elizabeth. It's great to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi, nice to see you, Insha.
Same here. So, Elizabeth, why don't you start off by telling us about the latest consumer trends you're observing in the food manufacturers space and how they can help them formulate healthy ingredients that also taste good?
Yes, you're right. In terms of consumer trends, these are really changing very fast. And actually, consumers today really have a lot on their plate, so to say. When life gets busy, it's about well-being, it's about convenience, it's about sort of speed. But at the same time, of course, consumers are quite concerned about how their consumption impacts sustainability and our planet. And so if we zoom in a bit more on the health space, actually 2 out of 3 consumers are telling us that they're quite concerned about health. And if you think about it, indeed, 2 billion people on this planet are actually deficient in essential vitamins and minerals, and over 40% of adults globally are overweight. So I think it's very clear that that health as such is a big topic. And now the question is, how can we really also in the food and beverage industry make sure that we sort of bring together the best of what's tasty and delicious, what's healthy and what's sustainable, and sort of doing that all at the same time. And I think there is often a bit where sort of the misconception also comes from, where people maybe see, taste, health, and sustainability as almost conflicting considerations. But yeah, we respectfully disagree on that point, because we really believe, with the latest application technologies, scientific insights, and sort of co-creating with our customers, we can really square the circle, so to say, and bring together the tasty, the healthy, and the sustainable in superior food and beverage products.
Yeah, wonderful. And what do you think are the key changes that you have observed in consumer attitude when it comes to healthier ingredients in food? Maybe about probiotics, about vitamins in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, we also spend quite a lot of effort as a company to really understand thoroughly the health concerns of consumers also across the world. And we do so by really also diving deep with our own proprietary research. We recently also commissioned a health concern study across nearly 20,000 consumers and across 26 countries. And as I mentioned, what we see is that on the one hand, people are telling us, 2 out of 3 consumers are telling us that they are concerned about the health. And then if you dive a bit deeper into what those concerns are, it's about energy levels, it's about emotional and mental health, sleep and restoration, a bit connected. It's about eye health, prevention of diseases, mobility, and bone health. And so it's quite interesting, because the awareness that health is extremely important, that is rising across the world. And then a bit kind of the priorities, what the highest health concerns are, that that may be a bit different across geographies and age groups. But in general, the awareness is much higher. And because you mentioned the vitamins, the probiotics, the protein levels. Also, if we actually look at product launches and we analyze those also very regularly, we see that now actually 1 in 3 launches across all types of food and beverage products does contain health boosting ingredients, and sugar levels and salt levels are really substantially decreasing step by step if we look at those new product launches. So for sure, driven by those consumer requirements, also also the food and beverage industry is really taking steps to address this, and that's basically also where we at Taste, Texture and Health at dsm-firmenich are able to work with our customers to make this happen.
Yeah, that's nice. And talking about your products and your solutions, you just mentioned the consumers' focus on taste and on reducing their salt and sugar intake. Do you have any solutions about these concerns like lactose intolerance or the gluten-free product that dsm-firmenich is focusing on?
Yeah, indeed. I think you're now, of course, pointing to sort of, what's bad in foods and what we sort of ideally try to reduce. Because really, if it's all about healthy foods and beverages, on the one hand, it's about adding the good things like we just previously discussed, the vitamins, the protein, probiotics, and others, and then reducing the bad like sugar, salt, fat, but also lactose and gluten, which of course may cause, discomfort for many consumers. And so, yeah, for us, this is a big priority, and actually substantially reducing, for instance, sugar or salt in food and beverage products is not easy at all, because of course it impacts very directly on the taste profile, creates off taste, it creates sort of negative impact on mouthfeel. You could even say, it could almost make the food sort of seem a bit dull when you've taken all of that out. So this is really where we come in, where we have a broad portfolio of sugar reduction and salt reduction solutions, deep scientific background to really understand actually how the different components interact in the food matrix, and are able to combine that with application expertise. So really then to be able to fine tune and offset, negative impact from, for instance, reducing sugar levels or salt levels in the product. Maybe to just give one example, because you also mentioned, of course, the topic of lactose free. So in the fresh dairy industry, when it comes to dairy products, dairy drinks, or yogurts, it's very much about, on the one hand, reducing the sweetness, reducing the calorie intake, modulating then still sort of on a very attractive taste. We can use our lactase, so enzyme technology, to take out the lactose, which of course, really causes discomfort for many consumers. And then overall modulate the mouthfeel with, additional texturizing technologies, etc. So you end up with a maybe 30, maybe even 50% sugar-reduced milk product that is, also lactose-free, and then can be even further boosted and enhanced with probiotics or with vitamins. So that's just one example, indeed, where all the different technologies really kind of work together, and where you need to have the broad suite of capabilities to really formulate a healthier product that then also, stands the test of, taste experience and indulgence for the consumer.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to, I think. Thank you for giving us the detailed insights into the company's products as well. And looking ahead, Elisabeth, what do you think in the future consumers and manufacturers can expect in the healthy food ingredient space?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, speaking from our perspective, we are extremely committed to and will continue to innovate in the health space. So on the one hand, it's functional ingredients, I think, that will continue to be extremely important. For instance, omega-3s, but also many others. Then, of course, the whole plant-based protein space is extremely important. I think there we have the unique opportunity to also, bring together what's good for the consumer and more healthy with what's good for the planet overall. So there, a lot of additional innovation will for sure take place. And then if we think about sort of technologies that we will employ in this space, yeah, we have 150 years of experience in fermentation and biotechnology. I think that whole space continues to be extremely important to come up with fermentative, non-artificial functional ingredients. And one other area that we are very passionate about and continue to invest in is the whole space of receptor technology. Because their receptor technology is basically about understanding kind of the biological processes in the mouth, for instance, when you're consuming a certain food, you know, kind of what is actually causing that superior, that indulgent taste experience. And by understanding those biological processes well, we can continue to modulate in future, you know, making the healthier products also the more attractive, the tastier for the consumer to enjoy. So I mean, that is a big that is a big priority for us, because ultimately, you know, food and beverage products need to tick all the boxes. We really want them to be healthier, tastier, and also better for people and planet.
Yes, that does sound really interesting and something to look forward to from the company. And I think to wrap up this interesting conversation, could you tell us about the company's plans for the future in the terms of healthy ingredients?
Yeah, indeed. As I mentioned, I think continued innovation around functional ingredients, around plant-based proteins, also around the biotechnology and receptor technology. Those are key focus areas for us. The microbiome is a big priority as well. I think we all know kind of health from the gut and sort of general well-being are, of course, very much interlinked. And food really is a bit kind of, you know, the new medicine overall, right? Food and beverages, I think, are increasingly perceived by consumers as being an integral part of you know, overall health and well-being. And by optimizing, improving the types of foods that people consume, they can, of course, also take, you know, a much more forward-looking, a much more preventative approach to their health. And so this is for sure, an area where we want to continue to contribute. We have 2,000 scientists across the whole world, multiple R&D locations. I think also really important to be present in the very different parts actually of the globe, if we really want to be at the forefront of understanding those consumer needs, consumer acceptance, and working with our customers together on those healthier products. So yeah, that is a big priority for us, because we believe that ultimately there is, you know, much more holistic thinking needed if we want to bring together the essential, the desirable, and the sustainable in our food products. And yeah, that's really the vision and ambition that we jointly work for, and that we will continue to pursue together with our customers.